3, 2, 1. Here we go. We're recording.
Dang.
This is the David the Dog Trainer podcast, episode 36.
Whoa.
We just did 35 yesterday.
Woo.
Another back-to-back. You know what happens on the back-to-backs?
Yeah.
We don't have much to rant about.
It gets rough.
That's all right. But here we are. We're going to do another one. What's new since yesterday? How was your shoot with Guardian?
It was good. Played with a lot of coffee.
You played with coffee.
Yeah. Trying some interesting things out. Just kind of throwing coffee beans everywhere, trying to get a cool little cascade shot of...
Cascade.
Yeah. Then I got the old cooler out and put a bunch of ice in it. And
I saw the old-fashioned igloo sitting around.
Dude, I had to get that. It was like the 90s retro.
Oh, that's yours?
Version. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, those are
I
cool.
bought that, yeah.
Kate bought one of her friends that like branding one that they came out with, the fanny pack version.
Yeah.
They came out with the fanny pack that fits 4 cans in it.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, but I couldn't pass that up. And then I was like, oh, it's perfect for this. So,
oh, yeah.
I did the, like, you know, it's like the Coronas are in there, but it was the cold brews. So I think he'll appreciate that.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun time, but nothing much else has changed since then. We both did a little workout at the end of the night.
That's it. We're still at it.
We're still at it.
In between podcasts, only one we had to do, but here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are. I'm trying to think what else.
Yeah, anything new for you?
No. What? No, I don't think so at all. Just pounding out some board and trains. So I usually don't do very many board and trains. I am currently like overloaded with them. I have like 3 right now, which I don't even know how that happened, but suddenly I'm training 3 dogs.
Yeah.
So
I think I saw your post. You were talking about that. Like,
well, there's one. That's Doug Tratner's dog.
oh, okay.
If you're familiar with Doug Tratner.
For Scene, right?
Yes, he writes for Scene, big food critic, Michael Simon's ghostwriter.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, so he ghostwrote like 3 of Michael Simon's books.
Oh, good.
So I saw his name come through like when they signed up. I was like, oh, Doug. I'll take that one.
I'll take care of that for you. That's
My goal is for Doug to write a critical review of Miracle Canine because his reviews are so funny, even his bad ones. Like you know what's funny is he actually did a review of Palazzo when it first opened, that restaurant right next to Miracle, and gave him a horrible review, man. Like if you read it, he was brutal on them.
Oof. Dang.
So what I was gonna do is I was gonna take a picture of Tizzy in front of it, or take like his dog like on the patio for dinner or something like that. You take a picture.
You
of
would
it,
get a kick out of that. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's cool though.
So I got 3 board and trains in right now. The reason why it's overloaded is I had a little bit of an overlap with it. When Doug's dog's coming in, I wanted to take it, but his dog came in like 5 or 6 days before the 2 that I was currently working with went home. So
next week it should be
Tuesday. They go home Tuesday. So
Okay.
after Tuesday we'll be good to go.
Yeah. Are you gonna? I know. Are you gonna try to do some like video stuff with him? Or?
Yes.
Yeah.
That'll be probably next week though.
Yeah.
We'll start getting into it.
Yeah. Oh, I remember you liked kind of doing that, like a almost beginning to ending.
Journey.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Which I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I think we'll probably try to do some of that kind of stuff with it. Kind of see what we get.
Yeah, maybe you can get more of that, like with the other guys, trainers and stuff too. I think that'd be kind of cool. Just like to throw on the YouTube channel or something. Like, hey, here's literally the process of different dogs like that have different problems.
Well, I don't know if you saw recently, but one of the things that we just started doing is, at this point we'll get a lot. So we have 5 trainers at the facility. And they all do different things, board and trains, one-on-one classes, combination of both, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And sometimes when people get assigned with a trainer, they're like, who is that trainer? I don't know anything about that person, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So Paige actually went through last week and went back through for like a long time of all of our videos and stuff we've posted. And we created individual trainer hashtag links. And put them on every single person's thing. So David Miracle Canine, Matt Miracle Canine, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So they could just type that into the hashtag or click on that trainer's hashtag, and it'll just pull up all of that person's work, So I thought that was a pretty cool way to start really continuing to isolate like trainer, so they can continue to build their brands, you know, build their personal image a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's something we started doing recently that I think is pretty cool.
Are you doing that on the YouTube or just Instagram?
Just Instagram now. Yeah.
I think I don't know how, like, the hashtags don't really work the same way on Instagram. So it's like,
I think we're still figuring out our YouTube mojo as well, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we've been very consistent on it lately. Like, we've been posting multiple times a week, and obviously with the podcast being on there and stuff now, like, the page has been consistently growing. Like, I think every week we're getting about 10 new followers or so, which has been pretty sweet. But we haven't quite figured out exactly what kind of content we want to put on there still.
Yeah.
You know? And I think a part of that is probably a me thing because, like, I'll be honest, there is a part of me that on the YouTube wants it to really be like our absolute best of the best, you know?
Yeah.
Not as far as content quality, but as far as like the information that we're putting on there. I don't want it to be as off the cuff. So I don't know. We're still figuring that out.
Yeah. And I started just doing the like the podcast clips in the evening times at 7:00 because that seems like when they were getting the best traction anyway. It's like because people are home at that point, and then because Paige, you know, when she's there during the day, she's uploading the videos like around noon to 3. So there was a couple times out like when I was doing the 2-a-days that it was like she would post something and then I'd put the clip up and then it just kind of kills the traction of each because you know, stupid YouTube algorithms like, oh, you posted so many videos, whatever.
Stupid YouTube algorithm.
Yeah, but I think, I mean, you know, I'm on there pretty much every day, so we get consistent comments now. It's like we get at least a comment every day, I feel like, at this point. So, hey, the numbers are still up there, too. It's like, it's so weird. It's like you put a video up, and then it takes like a few weeks, and then all of a sudden it's like, now everyone sees it. I don't understand.
Dude, I'll tell you, I've never really sat down and tried to understand like how they push some of that kind of stuff.
See,
you know?
and I'm sitting there every day. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. But all I know is that it's growing, and we appreciate all of you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. We really appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Yes.
Thank you.
Just keep liking and subscribing.
Smash that subscribe button.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay. Oh, one other thing. I did want to talk about this. So I sent you a text like a week ago of like a video, and I was like, remind me to talk about this. Whatever.
Yes.
So there's a video I saw the other day that this kind of goes hand in hand with the podcast that we did yesterday about utilizing punishment, corrections, and stuff like that in order to stop behaviors. Hold on. I got to swipe back through all these workout posts.
Yeah. I know. I was like,
there we go.
Oh, yeah, the Larry Krohn.
Yeah. All right. So, listen, I'm not trying to name drop here, but it was Larry Krohn.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine.
Man.
So, listen,
terrible.
We've talked about this before. I'm a big Larry Krohn fan. Let's just talk about this for a minute, right? Let's see if I can get some clickbait through this because I don't really give a fuck anymore.
Hashtag Larry Krohn.
I do really like Larry Krohn. So Larry Krohn, he's a dog trainer down in the Kentucky area. He owns a company called Pack Masters Dog Training, right? They've been around for a long time. Very, very YouTube popular trainer. That's really where he got a lot of his success from, is through YouTube. He had a couple of videos really early on, like probably like 10 years ago, 12 years ago, of him working with some aggressive dogs. Very impressive looking videos, right? And really blew up over it, right? And he's got a phenomenal following on Facebook. He does lives very frequently where he just kind of talks to people and just likes engaging with people.
Yeah.
The cool thing about him is he is a retired federal agent, I'm pretty sure. I think he worked for like... I don't know, some sort of big shot like branch of the government, right?
Okay.
So training dogs has always kind of been a side thing to him, right? So he really only has he does basically only board and train and like a handful of one-on-one sessions, and he does like a board and train per round, right? So it's like he just likes to have one dog in the house that he's working with, and he does long programs, and it's cool because he can put all of his attention on that dog, right? My issues come from he has been a leader in a push to essentially weed out some of the bullshit in dog training, which is good, right? So a lot of talk about trying to do things nicer, be less heavy-handed on the dogs, you know, talking about how some of these people that are, you know, newer trainers that are just getting into just using e-collars and being very firm with the e-collar and not having any understanding of markers or rewards or how any of this stuff really works, or getting out there and making a bunch of money, but kind of doing it the wrong way. We've talked about that before, right?
Yeah.
So that's all positive. My issue is he's gotten in the last year or so, probably last 2 years, I would say, very, very extreme, where he's gone from being this nice middle ground of like, I use e-collars, I use rewards, I use play, you know, blah, blah, blah. I believe in correcting the dog. I believe in rewarding the dog and just doing a good job with training, to, because I'm combating this extreme of like shitty e-collar training, I have to basically pretend like I'm like borderline a positive only trainer. Right?
Oh.
So what's happening is, because he has such a great following at this point, and because he is really starting to sway really far in that direction, I think he's starting to kill a lot of people's confidence in using the tool correctly and making them feel as if they're doing something incorrect if they're needing to correct dogs for things and needing to use higher levels on the e-collar and all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
I mean, I even saw, like for example, the other day we got a comment on our YouTube page of working with a Rottweiler, one of the videos you and I had done together, and the person was just like, what I think I said in the video, you know, this dog is working at like a 30 or something, you know, and the educator goes from 30 or, you know, 0 to 100, right? So I was like, yeah, this dog's working at a 30, and the person just put this like snide comment of like, 30, my dog's working level is like a 6 or something, and I was like, okay, well, that's your dog, and if that's working, great, but this dog is working at a 30. Because it's super distracted, super tuned out, whatever. You know, like for whatever reason, this dog is working at a 30 in this video, right? And my issue is that people like Larry are pushing this notion that if you're not working in these like neutral low levels of like 0 to 15, you're doing something wrong, right? Like he's even like in some of his lives, I remember watching one time. I was watching one with one of my trainers, and Larry said in the video, he's like, the dogs that come through my program never see a level 30 when they come here. And just a statement like that is so fucking head ass, you know? Like, it's so, like, it's not accurate.
No.
Right? Like you can't say and decide that a level 30 will always be way too much for a dog, because we know that's not true, right? Like I've worked with so many freaking dogs that just don't give a shit, right? And they need higher levels for different things. And by saying things like that, you're making people believe, and not even trainers anymore, owners, right? You're making owners feel like if they go up into those levels, which still 30 is very low, right? We have dogs that work at 100 all the time, right? You're making people feel like if they have to go past that level, that they're abusing their dog, right? Or that their training is bad, right? Or they're doing something incorrect, right? So he's just made this extreme push with that kind of stuff. And he just furthered it. So he's got this new dog, right? He got a new puppy German Shepherd, right? He's been training. He's been making a ton of videos and stuff like that with. And listen, myself, Larry, any of these notable trainers out there, right? If I get a puppy, yes, I'm going to be able to manage things and train things and do things in a way where I can avoid a lot of conflict. I could do things where I teach things in an efficient enough way where the dog really understands what I'm asking of them without all of that conflict or corrections and stuff like that. But that's because we're professional dog trainers.
It's, you literally, your career.
We do this for a living, right? I could detach emotionally completely from the situation and look at it as this is just one of my clients' dogs or something like that, you know? So he made this post the other day just saying, hang on, let me pull it back up here. Dante's first and only correction with an e-collar. Know your dog and prepare them. Shouldn't see anything in the real world you haven't seen in training. Like, come on. First and only. He'll never be corrected again after this.
No more corrections.
Come on, like
bullshit.
Come on. You know, like
that's
it's
stupid.
just painting such a bad picture for dog trainers and for dog owners, right?
Yeah.
You have a puppy German Shepherd, which from my experience, those are some of the most difficult dogs for people to own, right?
Yeah.
Like those are the dogs that I would say German Shepherd is like the number 2 breed we have come in with behavioral problems solely because of the fact that they are such confident, headstrong dogs that they could push back so quickly on owners. They could take advantage of situations very quickly and stuff like that. And by saying you should never need to correct this dog aside from maybe one time, that dog is going to rule these owners' lives. And they're going to have issue after issue after issue. And here's the thing that pisses me off about it, right? I hear him contradict himself all the time with these other things where people will ask questions in his live about like, well, my dog's digging in the backyard or my dog's doing this. And he'll be like, he'll like kind of weasel around the question and be like, well, you know, like at some point the dog needs to learn they can't do that, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, so you're saying you need to correct the dog. You need to punish the behavior.
Yeah.
Using those concepts we talked about with the Gary Wilkes thing that we discussed last time.
Yeah.
But because he's catering to this agenda of I'm the nice trainer now.
Yeah.
Because he's catering to that, he won't say those things anymore.
Yeah.
And you know what happens? That hurts dog owners. And it hurts new dog trainers that are looking up to you and trying to emulate things. You know what I mean? So it's just it's a little upsetting because I know that Larry is a really good trainer. You know, I know he knows what he's doing, and I know he knows how to train a dog really well.
Yeah.
But because he has this platform to be on, he's just not taking full advantage of it, I don't think. And I think he's winding up speaking out against what has helped him and so many owners in the past.
Yeah. Well, when did he change his tone?
Dude, I'm telling you, it was like 2 years ago.
And it was just like...
I could almost remember exactly when it was that it happened. 2 things that stick out to me in my head of when it happened. So, one, there was a video that surfaced maybe 2.5 years ago, something like that. And it was from I could be mistaken about this, so like I don't want to hold it against this company, but I think it was like an off-leash canine branch, which is a franchise dog training kind of center that was somewhere around the country. And it was basically this guy that was training a Doberman, and it looked like a wiffle bat or something like that in his hand.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
He was trying to get the dog to down. He's just yelling at the dog, and he's like intimidating the dog with the bat and like doing all this kind of stuff.
Oh,
and the dog's looking like terrified. It's just it was a mess, right? The video was horrible, right? So that video came out, and then at some point very shortly, either before or after, something happened involving Jeff Gellman and Sean O'Shea in their T3 seminar series that they were teaching, where it kind of exposed them being very heavy-handed on dogs as well and stuff. And we've talked about that before. Like, I like Sean and Jeff and their concepts and stuff, but I think their training, not necessarily Jeff's, but Sean's could use a little bit of work as far as he's too dependent on the e-collar. He is kind of the guy that, like, Larry is kind of speaking out against most of the time.
Gotcha.
You know? Man, this is like a soap opera episode.
Yeah. Dog training soap.
Listen, I'm telling you, there's so much drama in the dog world that we could do episodes and episodes and episodes just talking about the drama in the freaking dog training world.
Oh, for sure.
So, whatever. So, you know, a video like that happened, and they were very close together. And Larry basically like went on Facebook, made a really long video where he's just like, all of these people have no idea what the fuck they're doing.
Wow.
You know?
Okay.
Like, these people are idiots. These people are fucking idiots. You guys are all trusting them with your dogs, right? You guys are all trusting them to help you build your dog training business, yet they have no idea what they're doing as far as training dogs, right? Was kind of his stance, and he became very public about it. He started, boom, like going after Sean and Jeff. He started going after all these other guys, right? Like online.
Big PR move. Huh?
Yeah. Well, in his fairness, like, the vid, not necessarily the Sean and Jeff one, but the other videos and stuff that were surfacing, they were really bad.
Yeah, that was super bad.
And it was something where trainers should have been speaking out and saying, "Yo, this is some fucked up shit."
Yeah,
you know, like, you can't be doing this.
Yeah.
So whatever, that happened, and it was like from that day forward, he was like the vigilante of the dog training world, more or less. You know,
gotcha. But he just seems like he's gotten a little extreme.
He just got
over the year.
Too extreme with it. You know, and the other part of it that kind of upsets me a little bit is he's not really in the trenches anymore with it.
Yeah,
you know, like, he trains like probably collectively like 40 dogs a year.
Yeah.
You know, like if that, right?
Yeah.
Where like we're seeing, I mean, you figure what, let's see. This is just freaking board and trains. I mean, we're just doing probably like almost 200 board and trains a year.
Yeah, that's not your one-on-ones.
Yeah, and that's not including one-on-one packages and stuff like that. Like we're probably training, you know, like 500 dogs a year or something like that. So we're just seeing a lot more.
Yeah.
You know, and we're seeing so many more variables, and we're seeing so many more situations. We're seeing so many different skill levels of owners and trainers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where, you know, you really have to, and this is good for him, right? You really have to be a really, really good trainer in order to get away with doing some of the things that he's doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which again, we can do, right? Like I can do that with a dog, but my owners can't.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's not realistic to expect them to become that.
Yeah.
To have a well-trained dog.
Yeah. I don't know why you would narrow your point of view so much, you know? And especially, like you said, not even just owners, but their dogs are all different.
Yep.
Like, you know, the whole level thing that we were just talking about.
Their lifestyles are different.
Yeah.
What they need out of a dog is different.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? You think that client I was telling you about out in Hunting Valley, do you think that they want to become a dog trainer for this dog? No. Now, because they don't want to be a dog trainer, should they be stripped away of that ability to own a well-behaved dog?
No.
Right? This is where you get back to the conversation then if you need to balance it, right?
Yeah.
You can't get too extreme in the I'm a dog trainer and being the nicest person ever way. You also can't get too extreme with like I only use the force of God in order to stop behaviors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right? But you need to adjust that program on that spectrum based on what that owner needs. And I'm okay with saying I'm going to do things somewhere in the middle as opposed to just being super nice or just being super mean, because in the end of the day, I understand they're still dogs.
Do you mean you're training in a balance? A balanced trainer? That's like you said, you know, it's just 100%. Like you need the balance of both worlds, you know?
You know, people get dogs for different reasons, and
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, we get some owners that come in, they're the most gung-ho fucking, like, I want to do everything with my dog, and I want to come to classes every week and do this and do that, and show me how to do the food training and this and that. I'm like, hell yeah, we're going to tip that needle as far this way as we can, right? Because you're motivated enough to do it.
Yeah.
And you're going to reap the results because of it. And then we get some people that come in, and they're just like, oh my God, like, I'm a freaking nurse that works night shift all the time. I got 4 kids. My husband doesn't want anything to do with the fucking dog. And I'm stuck just trying to like gain control of this situation because the dog's trying to bite my kid and he's running out of the house and he pulls me all over on a leash and I'm dislocating my shoulder and blah, blah.
Yeah.
And we're like, listen, you know, let's just do whatever we need to do to just help you.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Because in the end of the day, if I'm helping you, right, you are going to enjoy your dog more, which will cause you to ultimately do more fun things with your dog, which will cause them to have a better quality of life, which will give 10x the reinforcement and the reward to the dog than me doing my training just super, super nice. Cookie.
Yeah. My one thing, so like, you know, the little caption that he put on this video, that last sentence, like, shouldn't see anything in the real world you haven't seen in training. Are you kidding me?
Hit me with that, Josh.
I'm just saying, man. Like, how can you even say that as a well-renowned trainer as you are? You know that's not true. Like, you can't. Does he have wild squirrels that he has and he throws them in his training? Like, you know, that's you can't get that just in your training. I'm sorry.
Wild squirrels.
Yeah, he just
got
them out.
a big old pen of them just lift the gate.
Yeah, and the dog's like, ah! Like, you can't tell me that or you just have, like, your friend. I mean, I guess you could have your friend's dogs come over or whatever, but, like, you know, it's not.
There are a lot of pictures you could train for, right?
Yeah.
And, again, our job as professional trainers is to be able to train for as many pictures as we can.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, I should spend a decent amount of my dog's training program generalizing, proofing, showing different pictures, working in different environments, doing that to work through as many of those pictures as possible. But listen, the real world has variables, and you 100% of the time will see things that are out of your control.
Exactly.
And that's the whole reason why we talk about why we need to use balanced training in the first place, because everybody likes to argue the contrary, right? Mm-hmm. Get ready for this one. I've heard this one numerous times. Well, if zoo trainers can get a hyena to wait for a bloody piece of steak then without using correction collars, then you can get away with not using an e-collar with your dog.
Oh my God.
I hear that one all the time.
Really?
All the time. Like said exactly like that in the same fucking Karen tone. You know?
Oh, shit.
Now, why is that not true? That's not true because they're in a fucking zoo.
Yeah.
They're in a zoo.
Not in the wild.
Literally, you ready for this? Here's what they have. Let me draw you a picture.
Okay.
Let me draw you a picture.
Okay.
All right, hold on. So this is the zoo pen. Here's our little hyena buddy.
Little hyena buddy.
I don't really know what a hyena looks like. It looks like that. Hang on.
He's getting very intricate over here.
Okay, hang on.
Oh, you're about to see it.
All right, I'll show it to you first. So this is it. This is the hyena in his pen. Hold on.
Okay.
Hyena in his pen.
All right.
Here's a little double door situation that they use in order to place the high value meat.
Okay.
So that they can do it safely.
Yeah.
And here's where the trainer stands.
Okay. They're very happy trainers.
They're very happy. And they use this double gate in order to present the food and do their training within.
Okay.
Do you know why they do that like this and as opposed to in the real world?
Because it's really dangerous.
Because this hyena in the real world, if there wasn't this gate here, would leap right over here and literally eat this motherfucker's face off. Like Mario or Pac-Man.
Yeah.
Literally would eat it. Let me show this picture to the camera.
Okay.
Does this look good?
Yep.
Can you see this?
Right
Okay, so we got the hyena behind the double gate where they put the food, trainer right here, right?
Yeah.
They're doing this and they're able to successfully do it because they have the ability to block that animal off from that food while they're teaching the waiting if they need to, so he can't just grab it. And they have a whole perimeter fence blocking them so the hyena doesn't jump over and eat their fucking face off. So
one of those is going to be a thumbnail for sure.
What I'm saying, what I'm getting at here, though, is that this is a controlled environment.
Yeah.
You can control everything about the way that you train this.
Yeah.
Absolutely fucking everything.
Yeah.
Which is why you're able to successfully do it.
Yeah. Please. Well, no.
Don't try.
Don't try it. But if you went actually to the Serengeti and you're like, sit, they would just eat you and the meat.
Yes.
Like there would be zero control.
So that is the issue, and that is why we can't train for all of those pictures.
Yeah.
It's not real life. We can't do it.
And that's why
we have to use corrections.
Yeah. And the one and done. Like, come on.
Well, listen, I mean, I'm a big believer that I would rather just squash it than deal with it repeatedly over and over again. But that gets back then into the science of what we discussed with the Gary Wilkes stuff last time, right? He presented the reasons in order for inhibitions to be created, right? It has to be intolerable, right? Mm-hmm. Which means that the dog has to really, really not like that consequence.
Yeah.
Right? Whatever. That's kind of the idea of one and doneing is you make sure that correction is motivating enough where it sticks, where they're like, whoa, next time I shouldn't do that. It has, I don't remember exactly all of them, but it has to be unavoidable, I think was it. They can't escape that consequence for it. It has to be inevitable, right? It's going to happen, right? No matter what, if the dog rehearses that behavior, it's going to happen. So, and then there's one other one, I don't remember exactly what it was. But the whole idea is it might just be one, but at some point that dog is probably going to try to do that thing again. And if that's the case, you have to correct it again just as firmly.
Exactly.
You have to, or else the inhibition will not be created.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I meant by
So this is my whole issue with all this kind of stuff, right? Is like we're creating these flawed notions, right? Dogs are living, breathing animals, which means you can't make statements like that because you don't know what they're going to do tomorrow.
No.
You don't, right? Gary brought up a great point in his article as well when we were talking about it, where a negative behavioral issue, let's say aggression or anxiety or this or that, it can lay dormant in a dog for a long time before it presents itself.
Yeah.
Right? So you're saying with that puppy that 4 years from now, it's not going to, I don't know, whatever, develop this issue or this issue or this issue or this issue? It might.
It could, yeah.
And if it does, you're going to have to correct for it if you want it to go away.
Exactly.
So
that's the thing is that, when's the next time that your dog, Dante is going to try something, buddy? Like, you're not going to just, what are you going to do? Nah.
No thanks.
Already corrected it. He knows.
It's gone. The behavioral issue is gone.
He will never.
Never. All right. Well, listen, we'll get more into the soap operas of dog training later. So what I want to do today is we're going to finish this last chapter of The Art of Raising a Puppy. We started this in episode 31, 32, something like that. And we got a couple things left. So we were getting into, this was discipline and common puppy problems. In the last segment, we started discussing mouthing, chewing, stuff like that. Last one here, there's a couple more left, but that was leading next into jumping up. So basically, to give you guys some context, if you haven't listened to the other podcasts on this is a book written by the Monks of New Skete in 93 or something like that, I believe.
Yeah.
Great book. Art of Raising a Puppy. It is a essential book for anybody who is getting a young dog, right? Yeah. It goes into all of the ins and outs, from the second you bring that dog home to what the dog did at the breeders, most likely, to how to stop general behavioral issues, how to start some of the training process, things like that. Again, it's a little dated, as are most things that were written 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
But most of it still holds true. And if you follow the things discussed in this book, you're going to be 10 steps ahead of the game past what a lot of people are.
All right.
All right, so we're going to get into jumping up. Most puppies have the annoying habit of greeting people by jumping up on them, which is actually an attempt to reach the individual's face. For puppies, the facial area of both dogs and humans is the chief point of contact, the primary reference in all social encounters. This stems from behavior learned around the time of weaning. Remember how wolf pups jump up and lick at the muzzles of older pack members to solicit food, which the adults then regurgitate for them. After weaning this, the face licking continues with a more generalized meaning, becoming the ordinary way subordinate wolves greet those of higher rank. Regardless of how natural this behavior is, however, when it occurs in human society, it quickly becomes an annoying and potentially dangerous habit. While a small pup jumping up might seem harmless enough, it transforms into something more serious once that pup is fully grown. Furthermore, most visitors to your house will not appreciate your pup's paws on their clothing, and dogs in the habit of jumping can easily frighten young children or knock over an unprepared elderly person. Our advice is to stop the behavior as soon as it begins by following these guidelines. All right, real quick. Couple things here. Statements like this last one, right? Furthermore, most visitors to your house will not appreciate your pup's paws on their clothing, and dogs in the habit of jumping can easily frighten young children or knock over an unprepared elderly person. Our advice is to stop the behavior as soon as it begins by following these guidelines. And while a small pup jumping up might seem harmless enough, it transforms into something more serious once that pup is fully grown. This directly ties into what we were just talking about. There are reasons past we just want to be nice to the dog that you have to use corrections.
Yeah, exactly.
Because dogs live in a human world. Humans don't live in a dog world. Ooh. And in the end of the day, stuff like this is more important than the second or two of discomfort that a dog is going to get from being punished for one of these behaviors.
Yeah.
And the quicker you get past it, before these behaviors become really ingrained habits, like 5 years down the road, 4 years down the road, the easier it's going to be and the less force it's going to take in order to correct that behavior. So just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
But I can't remember the quote exactly what Gary said in that article yesterday, but it was like the 1 second of discomfort over the entire lifespan of discomfort or whatever for everybody involved. I forget.
Oh, yeah.
I forget exactly what he worded, but yeah, it's like that one time saves you all this other heartache, you know?
All of it. Right? All right. Also, actually, this is the other thing I was going to say. This right here, jumping up, is the whole reason why I got into dog training in the first place.
Really?
Dead serious, right? So I tell everybody asks, how did you get into training dogs? How did you get into this? How did you get into that? So I never had a dog growing up. We'll do a whole podcast on this one day. Podcast.
All right.
The David the Dog Trainer biography.
Or
docu-series. Whatever. Never had a dog growing up or anything, right?
Yeah.
Was like zero experience with dogs. Like none of my family members had dogs or anything, right? And I got my first dog. And
how old were you then?
18.
18?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was 18. So got my first dog and didn't know anything about dogs. And before I even got her, before I even picked Vera up from the shelter, I had enrolled in dog training classes.
Yeah.
Because, this is the reason for it, because my only experience with dogs is I had a couple of neighbors that had dogs that anytime I would go over their house, they would just jump all over me or they would bark excessively at me. And I was freaking terrified of them because of it.
Yeah.
When you don't know anything about dogs, right? And you walk into somebody's house and they have a dog that's bigger than like 20 pounds and that dog is either barking at you or jumping on you, it is freaking terrifying.
Yeah.
It's terrifying if you have no experience with them, regardless of if they're the most friendly dog in the world. My only experience with dogs at that point was my mom saying you can't pet every dog that you see, which she taught me a very good lesson early on.
Yeah.
Because some dogs bite, right? So my perception is some dogs bite. And this dog's now jumping on me. This dog's barking at me. Is this dog going to bite me? Maybe.
Yeah.
Right? The owner clearly has no control over them. So what are they going to do? They can't get the dog to stop jumping on me clearly right now. Yeah. So what are they going to do if the dog starts trying to bite me? Right?
Yeah, nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Right? So train your fucking dog. Get your dog to stop jumping on people. And look out for other people. You know what I mean? Like how many times do I see... this is the dog's house, so the dog's allowed to be on the furniture and this and that. And if you don't like it, you could go somewhere else. Okay, maybe I will, right? Because guess what? People, like we talk about, people come first.
Yeah.
Right? And when you have guests over your house, it's your responsibility to advocate for not just your dogs, but for your guests.
Yeah.
And to make sure they feel comfortable. And it's okay that some people are not dog people. I have people that come over my house that are not dog people, and here's what I do. My dogs either stay far away from them in a bed stay the entire time, or they go in their crates. I don't need to have them out.
Yeah.
You know, my guest is coming over to hang out with me, not my dogs. So whatever. This is the reason why I got into dog training is because behaviors like this, they're more serious than you think. Even if your dog is the most friendly dog in the world, they will make other people uncomfortable. And that other person is not wrong for being uncomfortable by it.
Yeah, exactly.
Josh, I'm in a
pin drop.
In a freaking mood.
Feeling it today.
Feeling it.
Get feisty.
All right. Our advice to stop behavior as soon as it begins by following these guidelines. 1. Resolve to discourage all occasions of jumping up. It is not fair to allow your pup to leap on you, then to correct him for doing it to others. This is bound to confuse him. Keep your expectations consistent. Fuck. God, just like hits me in the feels.
Yeah.
You know? Like I just like, I feel that, you know?
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, well, I don't care if he jumps on me, but I don't want him to jump on my guests. It don't work that way.
Painting the wrong picture.
Don't work that way. I don't know if they're even going to say this or not, but another contrary, if you don't want your dog to jump on your guests when you come over, don't walk in the house, and as soon as you walk in the house, get your dog super, super hyped up. Because what you're doing is you're teaching them that when anybody walks in the door to get super, super hyped up.
Yeah, to get amped up.
Which will make it harder for you to control them later on. All right, number 2. Whenever your pup attempts to jump on you, simply grasp both of his front paws securely, holding them up long enough for him to become uncomfortable with the position. Show no anger. Most pups like to be up for only a very short time. When your dog starts to protest, continue holding on to him for several more seconds, increasing his discomfort. Then put him down gently, helping him into a sit. When he experiences this response consistently, he will avoid jumping up on you. All they're doing here is they're creating a negative association with jumping up.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to do it exactly this way. You could just give a correction when the dog does it.
Yeah.
Just keep in mind that, again, the dog has to perceive it as intolerable. We use that word, intolerable.
Yeah, intolerable.
Right? Some dogs might not find this intolerable.
Yeah.
Some dogs might not find the little knee that you give them when they jump up intolerable.
Yeah.
Some dogs might need a more firm correction for that. Don't be afraid to use one. 3, another possibility is to put the palm of your hand flat out in front of your pup's face when you sense he is about to jump. This blocks the jump and disposes him to respond to a sit command. We're gonna nix that one. Don't stop the dog from making the mistake. Allow the dog to make the mistake so you can correct for the mistake.
Okay.
Now, until you're in a position to correct for the mistake, if you want to interrupt it, you can, but you will have to allow the dog to rehearse it so that you can correct for the behavior. 4, since jumping up usually occurs during greetings, teach your pup an alternative manner of greeting both you and other people. We recommend crouching down to his level when he comes to meet you, then guiding him into a sit and petting him calmly for several seconds. For greeting guests, practice bringing your pup to people on leash, leading him into a sit stay several feet before he reaches the person, then have the individual approach. If your pup tries to jump towards the visitor, give a quick sideways leash correction as you move to the right. Circle him around on heel and repeat. When he allows the individual to pet him and does not jump, praise him cheerfully. This would work. The issue is it's very complicated. Like that, this is way more difficult to do than you would think. And anybody who has tried to get their dog to like sit and like while a guest is petting them knows that. It's very difficult to get your dog to do, right? That's why I prefer to personally make my expectation. I don't care what you do as long as you don't jump.
Yeah.
It's much easier to enforce. It addresses the thing that you actually care about, which is the jumping up. And from there, it allows the dog to feel a little bit more free, where they're not going to get as frustrated and be so launchy. Because if you put them in that sit, they're going to be like, right? Which is not what we want.
No, definitely not.
So just more illustrate, just correct the jumping and don't create any jumping on you. Those are the 2 takeaways from that one.
All right,
next one, possessiveness. This one I'm very curious to see what they say in.
Yeah.
Because this one, there's a lot of folklore out there on
folklore.
How to address it.
Some wild tales, huh?
Tales of the past. When puppies start eating food and playing with toys around 4 weeks of age, it is quite common for them to show the first signs of possessive behavior. Hang on. For example, as the litter eats from a common dish, a dominant pup may suddenly growl and snap at her neighbor, trying to scare him away from his share of the food. Often, the other pup will growl right back, learning that he must stand his ground if he is to get his own portion. The same dynamics occur during play sessions. A puppy might be batting around a particular toy when a littermate tries to take it away from her. The first pup growls threateningly, and if she happens to scare the challenger off, she learns an important lesson about dominance in pack life. Thus, what we call possessive behavior begins quite early as a normal part of puppy development. As a pup grows older, however, the situation changes radically. Possessiveness can easily evolve into aggression if it is not checked right from the start. Never procrastinate with this. Having your full-grown dog growl menacingly at you because you approached him too closely while he was eating or because you were trying to take something away from him is a very unsettling experience. Through a gradual process of desensitization, by training your pup to let you pick up his food or take any object out of his mouth, you assert your alpha stature in a healthy way before the behavior has a chance to develop into something serious. Here are 3 simple steps to follow with your pup to condition him away from possessive behavior. Let's see what they say. 1. At his feeding time, have your pup on leash and instruct him to sit. Place the dish down in front of him as he waits. Lightly correct him if he makes a move towards the bowl. Once he succeeds in waiting patiently for 5 to 10 seconds, let him begin his meal. After several more seconds, command him to sit again, gently guiding him into position. Follow with a stay, keeping your pup in place with the leash. Pick up the dish and wait 10 seconds. If your pup has been patient, place the food back in front of him and release him with a good boy, okay. Treat any growling with a quick leash pop and a no, and move him away from the food. After any correction, make sure you do not return the food until you have made him sit.
Well. Oh, no. He's got to crack the knuckles before this one.
I'm going to give that one a hard no.
Ooh.
Hard. Actually,
no.
that one's a hard no. Okay. Structured, and we'll do a whole episode on food aggression one day. One day we'll do it. Structure during the feeding process is absolutely essential, right? Mm-hmm. For any dog, particularly dogs displaying any sort of food aggression issues, right? Structure is the number one thing you want to implement in order to help work through those things. The problem is the structure in which you implement should not create more frustration during the feeding process. Because here's the thing. Most dogs that have food aggression issues or possessiveness over the food or toys or whatever it may be, most dogs in those situations are doing it because they feel like we are going to screw with them while they're engaging those things, right? So we want our dog to understand before they ever have that thing that it's ours. And while they have that thing, though we're not going to mess with them, we're also not going to back away from them as well. And then after they're finished with that thing, or when we want to take that thing away, that we have a way in which to do those things. So you got a beginning, you got a middle, and you got an end to things. Let's break this down real quick.
Okay.
Hold on. I don't know why I'm writing this anyways, actually. Yeah, forget it. I don't actually need to do that. Okay. Step beginning. How we present the food, right? This is probably the most important part, right? Common knowledge, whatever, tells you to do it in the way they discussed here. Put the dog in a sit, put the dog in a down, whatever. Make them wait 10 seconds, release them, let them get the food, right? Though that accomplishes the aspect of not having your dog all wild and crazy while you're preparing their food, it does absolutely nothing to teach the ultimate goal, which is this food is mine until I give it to you. This toy is mine until I give it to you, right? Because here's the thing. Let's say that dog is in the sit, and the dog breaks the sit to go to the food. We correct the dog for that. What was that correction for?
I don't know. For setting, I guess.
Yeah.
Breaking the set.
Right?
Yeah.
What did it tell them about the food?
Nothing.
Right? So if you have a dog that has food aggression issues, right, or you have a puppy you're trying to teach to not have food aggression issues, you're not explaining anything about this food bowl is mine, right?
Yeah.
So we have to have a way to be able to claim that food bowl as mine, right? And we have videos on this, right? Maybe you could link one of those videos.
Yeah.
Can you do a link it here, right? Of the video of me feeding all my dogs at the shop we made. Remember that one?
Yeah.
So when I feed my dogs, my very first process is I go, I fill my food bowl up. I don't say a word. They're loose, right? I set that food bowl on the ground. I don't hesitate or anything. Bam, it's on the ground. If my dog goes for it before I tell them to do, no, boom, big correction for that, right? Correction where they're like, oh, shit, right?
Yeah.
What does that correction tell them?
Don't go to the food.
Don't touch the food. That's my food, right? If you have a dog that's being possessive over food and we tell them, hey, that's my food, you can't have it, and they believe you with that correction, what do you think that's going to do? Make them less possessive over that food.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, oh, shit, maybe it's not my food, right? Maybe it's just being given to me from somebody else, right?
Yeah.
So we're communicating very clearly, and what it does is it accomplishes the same thing the sit and wait does, because ultimately the dog then will sit there and wait for the food.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So check number one, that's beginning, right? From there, our middle, the dog eating. And this is where I see people make mistakes as well. And this is where I see a lot of food aggression issues start. What typically is happening when we're feeding our dog in the morning?
No, I don't know. What do you mean?
I'm wording these wrong, probably, right? When we feed our dog in the morning, typically it's like, all right, we're getting ready, get my coat, put my shoes on, got to pack my lunch, here's your food bowl, whatever.
While they're eating, okay.
We're doing other shit.
Yeah.
Right? Most of the time.
Yeah, usually.
Right? So what happens is we never claim the food bowl initially because we just do our sit and wait.
Gotcha.
We give the dog the food, and then we're off fucking around doing whatever, and like just reapproaching the dog a bunch of times mindlessly.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Because we're doing that all the time mindlessly, the dog's just like, get the fuck away from me. You know? Like I'm trying to eat.
Yeah.
You know? And eventually what happens is you walk by the dog, you're not even thinking about it, and all of a sudden you hear, "Arr," right? And you're like, whoa, my dog's crawling at me.
Yeah.
Right? You don't understand why, this, that, right? It's bound to happen eventually. Yeah. So what you need to do with your dogs very early on is you need to have the structure where when the dog eats right next to you, where they realize I'm not going away. So I've claimed my food. I've then given my dog the food. And when I give my dog the food, I'm standing right next to them. I'm not going to mess with them. Don't touch the dog while they're eating. Don't pet the dog. Don't stick your hand in the food bowl like everybody tells you to do because you're just going to piss the dog off. Like we said, we don't want them to feel threatened, but we want them to understand it's our food bowl and I am going to stand next to you while you're eating. Right? And you're going to get comfortable with me being next to you while you're eating. Right?
Gotcha. Yep.
So you have the dog on a leash if you want to, right? Put your food bowl down. Correct the dog if they go for the food bowl before you tell them to do. Claim that food bowl. Tell them okay at that point once they're waiting. At that point, if you see a little bit of hesitancy towards the food bowl, one, that's normal. Two, listen, if we have a dog with food aggression issues and they start being a little hesitant around the food around me, check.
Yeah.
That's better than your dog being like, fuck you, I'm going to fuck you up over this food bowl.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? Give them the food. If they're hesitant, encourage them. Here you go. Eat the food, whatever. While they're eating it, wait. Just stand right next to them. Do not move away from them. Just sit there and just wait.
Yeah.
At this point, if you've done this correctly, you should not see any aggression. Everybody always asks, well, what if my dog starts growling then? I was like, if you've done it correctly, you should not see any at that point, right? If you see some at that point, 90% of the time it's because you screwed something up. If you're that 0.1% of the chance where you didn't screw something up, then yes, we would need to correct again for it, right? Yeah. But then you just let them eat. And then for the end, I always say, wait until the dog is finished. Let them lick the bowl. Let them finish it. Make sure they're not stressed. They're done with it. Once they're done with it, walk them away from the bowl, pick that bowl up, finish your feeding process. This is how you should feed any young dog. This is how you should absolutely feed any dog that has food aggression issues. And that is the structure in which to keep this successful. So don't worry about all this stuff they talked about at the beginning. I don't like they were talking right in the middle of eating. Make them stop. Right? That's an old thing people used to teach is like the out. And there's still people out there teaching it, right? Out them away from the food bowl, recall them away from it, this, that, right? Though it is important to ensure you have control over your dog around any sort of resource, like, yes, I know my dogs will call away from their food bowl if I need them to, right? Though that is important, the more you do that, the more you create stress and frustration around the feeding process, which creates more likelihood that the dog will display resource guarding issues.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
God, I almost don't even want to read the rest of this.
That was good.
Let's see what they say for number 2.
Okay. I think you just destroyed the rest of this.
Teach your pup to take a piece of dog biscuit gently from your hand. First, instruct him to sit. After praising him, offer a small chunk of biscuit by first moving the back of your hand in front of his mouth. When your pup is relaxed, turn your hand around. Make sure he takes the biscuit gently. Praise him warmly. This simple exercise teaches a pup self-control around food. I'll tell you, I don't think that has anything to do with possessiveness. That teaches them to wait for their food, obviously. But I don't think that is helping with possessiveness.
No.
3, each day practice giving your pup the nylon bone or another favorite toy, then taking it away from him, praising him as soon as you do so. If he resists, utter a clipped, "No, leave it," praising him if he releases. If he still does not let go, give him a brief leash pop with a verbal reprimand and repeat the process. Then let him play with the bone. This one I don't disagree with as much. Because I do tell people like that are having really serious resource guarding issues. I do tell people to practice toy time with the intent of making sure you can get that toy back from them.
Yeah.
Typically, I'll do it similarly with the food, where I'll give it to them for a designated period of time. So say 20 minutes, let them chew on it for 20 minutes. And at the end, when I want to take it away, we're done at that point. I'm not going to give it back to them.
Yeah.
Right. And I want to have a clear way. Right. So typically at this point, we're using e-collars. I have a very high level on the e-collar. I walk over, I tell them drop. If they don't spit that toy out immediately, boom, big correction for that. Teach them to spit it out of their mouth, take it away, game's over, try again tomorrow. And I usually do recommend doing that every single day until the dog is consistently spitting it out, obviously. So I don't necessarily hate that one. Should you see any serious escalation in aggressive, possessive behavior, you should contact a professional to help you address the problem while your pup is still young. I agree.
Well, that was an easy one.
All right. We got here. Perfect. Next thing, submissive urination. So we have noted how puppies, having been originally cleansed by their mother while they were on their backs, can subsequently demonstrate submission to adults by moving into a similar position, involuntarily releasing a small amount of urine as they do. In canine terms, this reflexive act acknowledges authority and has a placating effect on the higher-ranking wolf or dog, diffusing possible aggression. Because of its deep instinctive roots, this behavior is often transferred into a puppy's new pack. In a domestic situation, submissive urination reflects the same recognition of authority, only now it is directed towards a human alpha. It can also occur during moments of extreme excitement. Needless to say, if the behavior happens repeatedly, it becomes an unwelcome problem that must be handled with sensitivity and understanding. Here are some guidelines to avoid future problems. 1. Submissive urination must be clearly distinguished from house soiling. The puppy does not intend to urinate, only to show submission. Therefore, he must never be reprimanded for this behavior. Punishment will only encourage a more pronounced display of submission. 100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I see people make that mistake all the time. The dog is doing it because they're being submissive. If we're punishing them, they're going to get more submissive.
Yeah.
2. It is vital to teach a submissive puppy the obedience commands in a positive, confidence-building manner. Whenever possible, use non-coercive techniques that avoid triggering submission through dominating physical contact. The pup needs to experience praise and encouragement in a manner that draws him out of himself. Kind of agree. Obviously, you want to keep it a little... You don't want to be super hard on them, obviously, but don't change your techniques too much. Just be aware that you don't want to be, notice when they're starting to get submissive and tone it back a little bit.
Yeah.
3, avoid highly emotional greetings as well as situations in which you tower over your pup. Whenever you arrive home, ignore your dog for 5 minutes. Then, when you do greet him, crouch down to his level, guiding him into a sit. If possible, do this in a non-carpeted surface, such as grass, tile, or linoleum, in case an accident does occur. Yes, most of this happens when the dog is highly aroused. So if you wait 5 minutes, I usually recommend even longer, 10 to 15 minutes. Once you go to interact with the dog, the excitement level should be significantly lower, and you should have a less likelihood of that happening. Now, make sure when you do interact, though, you don't do it in a, okay, we waited 15 minutes now. Oh, my God, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe 15 minutes, then, hey.
Yeah.
Keep it chill. Keep it chill.
Yeah.
4, stage controlled introductions to other people by bringing your pup to them on leash and making him sit in front of them. It is difficult for a pup to urinate while sitting, and the position is ideal for controlling excitement. Again, you get back into that's going to be very difficult to do. That one I don't know if I would necessarily do. All right. Next one, car sickness. When a dog is able to ride well in the car, it significantly increases the time she is able to spend with her owner, making for a more flexible and enjoyable relationship. By conditioning your puppy to ride in your car at an early age, you avoid the headache of car sickness later on. Neglecting to work with a pup on automobile etiquette makes practical matters, such as trips to the veterinarian and ordinary outings for recreation and exercise, a major project. Start by taking your pup for daily rides as soon as she comes home, following these general guidelines. 1, your pup should learn to ride in the back of the car. For safety purposes, use a crate, safety harness, or car barrier to protect you and her from sudden stops. Absolutely. Get your dogs out of the front seat, and Jesus freaking Christ, do not have your dog sit in your lap while you're driving.
Oh, my God.
Don't do it. It's not safe. Get your dog in the back.
Yes.
2, Begin the conditioning process by taking your pup on a very short trip, up and down the block, for example, every day for a week. Make sure your puppy hasn't eaten for 2 to 4 hours and avoid a route with curves. Keep the trip upbeat and happy and follow up with a play session so that your pup associates the car with something she likes. Sure. 3, do not scold the pup for whining and ignore any vomiting. Clean the mess when you get back home and try again the next day, making the trip even shorter. If necessary, limit the ride to going up and down the driveway. Sure.
Yeah.
4, when your pup shows no signs of nausea, begin increasing the distance of the trip. Always be sure to praise your pup at the end of the trip. Sure. 5, though it is fine to crack the rear windows for ventilation, do not allow your pup to put her head out the window. This common behavior is dangerous since your pup could be hit by a flying pebble or other foreign object. Also, be sure to never leave a puppy or adult dog unattended in a car out in the sun, since canines are more sensitive to heat prostration and heat-related death than we are. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, one point on this. Car sickness, you got kind of one of two things, in my opinion, with it. You have dogs that are just genetically motion sick, right? Yeah. You might be able to make that better. In my experience, it's only going to get so good, though.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Dogs like that, get a crate. Something's going to be easy to clean up. Put some towels down.
Yeah.
Be ready, because it's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
The other ones that get themselves really worked up in the car anxiety, stuff like that, setting structures, everything. I always say if the dog paces around a lot, you absolutely can correct for that, because a lot of times the pacing and motion and everything in the car leads to them getting themselves worked up and either barking, freaking out outside, or throwing up.
Yep.
So stopping that trigger right away and teaching them to settle down is very helpful. The car is the one place in our dog's life that typically there's no structure at all, period.
Yeah.
They just get in it and they go places and they're free to just run around and be a psychopath in the back.
Yeah.
So create some structure, do a downstay if the dog has a good down on them while they're in the back, or just correct the pacing around, and you will see a lot of your issues in the car will get better. All right, last one. Stool eating. Stool eating is one of the most distasteful habits a young puppy can engage in. Though utterly incomprehensible to most owners, there are usually very specific reasons for the behavior. When addressed quickly, stool eating can be resolved before it becomes chronic. There's no need to panic. Treated sensibly, the problem can be overcome without a lot of difficulty. To understand why stool eating occurs at all, it is helpful to consider a pup's first experiences with the litter. When puppies are with their litter mates before weaning, their mother consumes all of their waste material. This is a normal maternal behavior, essential for keeping the litter healthy. After weaning, much like little children, pups become inquisitive. They naturally investigate their own feces, smelling, licking, and even consuming them. This is why breeders and owners must be diligent about picking up stools. Keeping floors and yards clean helps control the problem right from the start.
Ugh. All right.
Once a puppy is in his new home, stool eating can indicate one of several things. Often it points to a dietary deficiency. The pup is not digesting his food properly and subsequently smells undigested protein in the stools. This can be caused by poor food or an internal problem requiring the attention of a veterinarian. It can also be related to boredom. If a puppy is alone in a fenced-in backyard, for example, he may entertain himself with old stools. This is basically the case in colder weather when frozen stools seem to be objects of particular fascination. To treat this effectively, you can follow several specific guidelines. 1. Make sure that the food you're feeding your pup is high-quality brand, one that is both palatable and nutritious. Be on the lookout for signs of poor digestion, large stool content, or loose stools. You may wish to consult your veterinarian about this. Now, this goes back into proper feeding and stuff. If you are feeding too much, it's going to go right through your dog, and they're not going to digest half of it, which will make this more likely to happen.
Yeah. They're like, oh, look at all this food right here.
2, be conscientious about picking up your pup's stool. While some professionals recommend mixing digestive enzymes or meat tenderizers with your pup's food, they supposedly give the stool an unappetizing scent, or spraying Listerine or tobacco sauce on an old stool. Same idea. It's just as easy to take away the source of the problem. If your pup has a yard to play in, pick up stools regularly, or, if possible, as soon as he eliminates.
Yeah.
Duh.
I've never heard the meat tenderizer one, though.
Yeah, I've never heard that one either.
Here, have some meat tenderizer, Fido.
3, when you're walking with your pup in the neighborhood, do so on leash and do not let him smell the droppings of other animals. Give him a quick leash pop to direct his attention elsewhere. With consistent corrections, he will learn to ignore the stools. Thing number 4 that I'm going to make up, correct the dog for doing it.
Yeah.
I've worked with some dogs, man, that were real bad with this, and you get a little consistency, a couple real high-level corrections for it, you'll be past it.
Yeah.
Had a dog recently. It was like a puppy, and it was a golden retriever, and this dog was so bad with it. She was like maybe 7 months, 8 months. She was so bad with it that the owners would say as she was like shitting, she was like reaching around, like licking it, coming out. Oh. And they said it was like almost impossible to stop her from doing it.
Jeez.
So a couple real high-level corrections on the e-collar as she did that.
Never again, huh?
Problem solved. Doesn't do it anymore.
Good. One and done.
It was a couple and done, but we made it happen. Again, this goes back to what we were talking about, though.
Yeah.
Look at how many situations that a couple firm corrections solve all the freaking headache. Mm-hmm. How are you going to show that picture in training and train it away, aside from that? You're not.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad that his dog doesn't do that, but guess what? Some dogs just do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well.
All right. What do you think?
Good.
This is an energetic one.
It was energetic. You were into it. I think that book there just showed a little bit of age, but for the most part, it was good, except for the feeding.
It was good. We skipped a little bit in it. There's like 2 chapters left that are kind of
whatever,
meaning like they're not going to be beneficial for this at all. So
yeah.
I think it was good though. So
cool.
All right, guys, we're gonna wrap this up. I got some stuff to do. I got to get to the shop. I'm right on time, man.
Yeah,
right on time.
Ooh, there you go.
Josh, anything last to note?
No, you can just find me at Josh DeBoy Productions, joshdebayproductions.com.
Dope. Find me at Miracle Canine Training, miraclecanintraining.com, David the Dog Trainer on Instagram. We'll see you.